On Wednesday, October 16th, the United Chambers of Commerce of the San Fernando Valley held its 9th annual Mayor's Luncheon at the Warner Center Marriott. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti was greeted with enthusiasm by San Fernando Valley's business leaders and elected officials. Mayor Garcetti, a Valley native who has been on the job for just over 100 days, received a standing ovation from the 475 attendees.
Thank you. Now, please. Thank you. Please be seated, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. All I did was win the election. I haven't done anything yet. Give me a standing ovation when I earn it. But thank you, John, for the kind introduction, and my friend Richard Katz as well. The best MC you can get for free, right? Absolutely. And if you paid him, it would be well worth it as well. And I want to thank everybody who is here, especially my colleagues. I'm sure I'm going to miss some. Paul Koretz, our great council member. I saw our controller, Ron Galperin. I saw Bob Blumenfield walking around here, a council member. And some guy named Mitch Englander, who is here as well, my dear friend. Have I missed any city elected officials that are here? If not, thank you to them for their incredible service and friendship as well. And thank you to Mark Levinson and the entire board. The United Chambers team, which brings us together, and I've come to so many of these luncheons in the past as a council member. It's such a great, great honor to come before you as your new mayor. And as a Valley boy born and bred, somebody who grew up here in the Valley, who went to junior high and high school here in the Valley, somebody who played at the now state champion Encino Little League. They won the state championship. I don't know if you know that, but the Valley won this year. I brought them into City Hall, and it was one of the proudest days of my first 100 days. And all the public servants that are here, I also want to single out one of my predecessors who was with us as well. I believe he's still here, Mayor Richard Reardon, a man who showed us how to get it done. Stand up, Dick. Stand up. Thank you as well to Dennis Zine, my friend and colleague from the City Council as well, who is here. In past years, he's been responsible for at least 10% of the business in this room, so we thank you for that. I'm sure the hotel does. Nuri Martinez, who I know, I think is not with us today, but for her great service, and Felipe Fuentes as well. LAPD Deputy Chief Jorge Villegas, LAPD Topanga Division Captain Joel Justice, best named captain in LAPD, and LAPD Van Nuys Division Commanding Officer Ernest Eskridge. That you're all out in force today speaks volumes about the good work that Los Angeles Police Department does, and we thank you for those historic lows in our crime rate. And we're still going down even further this year. As of this moment, we're down 10% in terms of homicides, 11% in terms of violent crime, another 3% in property crime this year alone. So it is an amazing moment in Los Angeles. I think if I were the mayor of a town in other parts of America, I'd be looking around for the ingredients of success. I'd be trying to attract people to come to my city. I'd be hoping to find investment. I'd be praying for a couple days of good weather and maybe some flights and a good hub for trade. I'm mayor, though, of a city that has all of the ingredients for success. The most diverse group of human beings ever put together in human history. The best geography anywhere on the face of the earth, and I don't just mean the topography and the weather, but if you were to put a pinpoint in the most dynamic intersection of 3 different regions of the earth, the western capital of the United States, the northern capital of Latin America, the eastern capital of the Pacific Rim, whether there was a city here or not, you'd put that point where we happen to live. And when you look at these ingredients of success, the can-do spirit that has always defined, certainly the feeling I had growing up here in the San Fernando Valley, where it didn't matter where you came from or what language your parents spoke or how old you were, how young you were, what gender you were, the color of your skin, how you worshiped God, whom you love. The things that matter to us in the San Fernando Valley and in Los Angeles is what our dreams are and how hard we're willing to work for them. So my question to you today is whether or not we're willing to work hard again to make LA not just a big city, but a great city once again. A great city that redefines itself with old values in a new time. The old values of having small town help in a big city when you try to pull out a permit or when you want to make an investment or when you're looking to grow. A city hall that says, yes, we're open for business, and that returns that feeling we had with Mayor Reardon, that there's business teams ready to sit down with you and to get through and to cut through the red tape. A city hall that when you call us or send us a tweet or use our 311 app, gets the business done, like the couches we picked up yesterday in Sherman Way when I was tweeted on my Twitter account by somebody saying we still don't have those couches picked up and we got it done yesterday at 2:45 p.m. The way that we can be more responsive, doing newfangled ways of doing old-fashioned tasks. Los Angeles is poised again for greatness. I know that I'm ready to help lead alongside you a renaissance of this city, to combine that feeling that we had in 1984 when the Olympics came here and the world looked in Los Angeles, and I was a 13-year-old who got out of camp for 2 days so that I could drive back down from Central California and see the closing ceremonies and watch the world love this city that we all call home. I came to office as mayor with a clear mandate, a strong vote from the Valley, and a clear mandate from the people of Los Angeles to put the recession in the rearview mirror and to get this city working again. In two senses of that: to get jobs back on the table and to make City Hall a business-friendly place, but to also make City Hall work for the people once more. You know, the perfect metaphor for City Hall is if you happen to make your way downtown and you're on Main Street or Spring Street, there are 8 doors between you and your mayor. 8 doors that you have to go through until you can find your mayor. So on the first day, we threw open at least 7 of those for folks to come in after they get through the main door and to find me and to have office hours immediately. Something that I did in Van Nuys, because I promised not just to come out here for great luncheons and press conferences and all the usual stuff, but to actually work here in the San Fernando Valley, as I have done and will continue to do in Van Nuys City Hall. Holding office hours where every day Angelinos could sign up and sit down with me. And some of you who are in the room today came and visited me that first day. We've done it every single month. Neighborhood walks that we've already started. Our first was in Venice, hoping to get 24 people out. We had over 200 people show up to go door to door and to meet that, aspiring rock star with tattoos on his arms next to the Lithuanian grandmother, next to the African-American woman who heads up the food bank at the Baptist Church across the street, next to the Guatemalan immigrant family, all in one block, all sharing one future, even if they come from many different pasts. You see, sometimes the basics do matter, whether it's being available or whether it's taking care of the life of the street. Last week was my 100th day in office, and we announced a great streets initiative, which we hope to bring throughout the city, including to the San Fernando Valley. Our main streets, just as I did in my council district, where we took Sunset Boulevard and Silver Lake, and turned it from being a place that was with empty storefronts to what Forbes magazine called the hippest neighborhood in America, which is probably a bad sign if Forbes is calling you the hippest neighborhood, but an unthinkable title a few years ago. Or Atwater Village, which reminds me of the San Fernando Valley I grew up in. Glendale Boulevard, which used to be a thoroughfare to get from Glendale to downtown, where we focused on widening sidewalks and attracting cafes and putting street art and new landscape medians down. And lo and behold, that was voted the best neighborhood in Los Angeles last year by a popular blog, Curbed LA. When we take those main streets, we know what we can do in government. We can't hire a lot of people. Sure, DWP, the port, the airport, some of the capital projects we can do create jobs. But most of the work we can do is create the conditions for all of you to do what you do best, to invest, to hire. And we will do this in 4 ways with a business development and economic development strategy that my team has already begun to implement. 1, I will use the power of my office to convene. Too often we don't talk to each other. We don't know who we are. We don't know where to go to. I'll give you 2 examples. I'm just one mayor of 88 in this county of Los Angeles. And so for the first time, a few weeks after I got sworn in, I invited the other 87 to Getty House, the mayor's residence, to have a convening. 65 of them RSVP'd, and we had 66 mayors in one place to talk the whole morning about everything from healthcare to traffic, to economic development, to crime, those things that don't care that there's a border between Burbank and LA, or that San Fernando, is different from the city of Los Angeles. We need to start thinking as a region. And so the convening power of bringing together small chambers of commerce like I did the first day I was in office, or the ability to be able to bring our university presidents and chancellors together, as I did a few weeks ago for the first time, to have the president and chancellors of UCLA and USC, of Loyola, of Cal State Northridge, Cal State LA, Cal State Dominguez Hills, Occidental, Loyola, the Community College District, in one place, can change our history when we find each other. So we will move this city forward by convening. But two, we will also make sure that we build. We will build out a great airport once again. And if you haven't been to the new international terminal, it is the finest terminal now in North America. And don't take my word for it. The head of Hudson News, which takes your money whenever you buy a newspaper, was there, and he said, trust me, I'm in 80 terminals. This is the best one now in North America. But we've got 8 other terminals to take care of. We've got transit to bring to the airport. We've got to have a world-class port, which we've widened the channel of. We welcome the largest ship ever to come in there. What Panama Canal is trying to do, we're already ready to accept the big ships today. And making sure that the tentacles of trade, that I'm working in Riverside to make sure that warehouses there are talking to the port and the harbor in Los Angeles is critical. But we'll also build, and I'd want to thank Mitch Englander for his leadership in this, our own infrastructure in the city too. Our city streets, after 70 years of neglect, must be fixed. And I will not be a mayor who pretends we can just do it by greater efficiency at City Hall. 70 years of neglect is a pretty expensive bill. But what's more expensive is when I was talking to Alan Rothenberg just the other day, the head of the Chamber of Commerce Board, Los Angeles Chamber, he said, I just spent $3,000 on my Prius because of the streets near my house. We either pay over there at the repair shop or we pay up front. And I think that we can make the case to the people that it is in our interest financially, as well as a great infrastructure improvement to make sure that we once and for all fix what has been almost a century of neglect. So we will rebuild. And one last thing, and I'm not just throwing this out because MWD's in front of me, water. The largest natural aquifer reservoir, or man-made, sorry, second largest in the state, is called the San Fernando Valley. But it's pretty dry. We have to clean it up, and we have to figure out a way to begin to unpave our city to recycle our water. And I don't want to hurt their business, but we've set a goal of reducing by 30% the water that we buy from external sources by 2020. It's an ambitious goal, but we can do it. In the same way that 30 years ago, we said, hey, we can't consume more water, and we added 1 million more people, but guess what? We're consuming the same amount of water as we did 30 years ago because of low-flow toilets and the right fixtures and everything else that we've done. We can lead again. So we'll convene and we will build. But third, we will train. And perhaps this is the most important piece of the equation. I remember during the campaign, I brought together some folks here in the San Fernando Valley at a firm in North Hollywood that does airplane parts manufacturing. And I wanted to bring the aerospace industry together. And I think our leadership gave up on aerospace after the Cold War. It got cut by 2/3, but it's still a top 3 industry in the Southland. It's a great employer. And somebody said, I have never had a city elected official ever come talk to me. In fact, it's easier for me to get a meeting with the governor of Texas in the San Fernando Valley than it is to get somebody from LA City to pay attention. Let that sink in for a second. And so they said, though, we are not only competing, we're winning in the world. After the Japan earthquake, this firm, when the aerospace companies in Japan couldn't manufacture parts, picked up some business that they thought was going to be temporary. Once those businesses got back up and running, they figured they'd lose it. And they said, guess what? When our competitors in Japan reopened, all those new clients that we had stuck with us because we're doing it cheaper and better here in America than what they were doing there in Asia. But the problem is, not only do we neglect industries, but we also aren't training people for those jobs. He said, we have openings and we don't have anybody graduating with the skills to hire right here. You know the work that I did last year to save our Van Nuys Airport aviation mechanics training program, a great LAUSD program that was going to be cut because of state education cuts. Its adult ed wasn't seen as important. We were able to waive the rent that we charge at the Van Nuys Airport, and I saved that program. 30,000 jobs in the next 5 years, starting at usually $19 an hour, quickly accelerating to about $100,000 a year without a college degree, come out of people who graduate from that. Now, we can either produce those people or we can continue to bring them from another city, another state, another country. We must address not the jobs gap here in Los Angeles, but the skills gap. And so I've hired Thelma Melendez de Santa Anna, an Assistant Secretary of Education from the Obama administration, who also has headed up 2 school districts, Pomona and Santa Ana, to be my lead in education and workforce development. Already, we've asked the community college district and the school district to come together, convened by my office, to look at how we can consolidate workforce development and training programs, to get kids ready with STEM education or STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. I was yesterday at a manufacturing convention that's downtown. It's been there for 50 years. And I was with kids from high schools around this area who have built robots and cars. We're looking at the cutting-edge three-dimensional manufacturing that we need to get 3D printers in every single LAUSD school. I'm working with will.i.am, the singer, to look at a way that we could do that in our schools throughout LAUSD and be the first large school district to do that. But we have to prepare that pipeline of success now, or that investment will go elsewhere. So we will convene, we will build, we will train, but the last thing we will do is we're going to begin to market this place again. And it is important for us to realize that the city of LA and the region of LA does not sell itself. I know that may befuddle people because we have such great weather and such a great reputation in some ways when people see us on TV or in a movie. But we have to hustle as if we were that small Midwestern town that people would pass by. If we combine that hustle with our ingredients, we will be unstoppable. But think about it for a minute. I mean, even the campaigns we have at the airport, anybody know what our slogan is these days, even in Los Angeles? I think the last one that I saw was, "Whatever you like, it's better here." Sounds like Las Vegas, not Los Angeles. We have to realize we're in a competitive world, and that whether it's a film fair or a fashion gathering, that LA needs to have a booth. Tracy and I were just talking about the Select USA, which is the first convening the White House is bringing together American firms and folks from over 150 countries to sell U.S. products to them in Washington, D.C., products and services. I'll be going there, not just setting up a booth for LA at the end of this month, but for California, because the state isn't setting anything up. It is time for us to go out there and to hustle for business again. It's time for us to tell the story about Los Angeles again. It's time for people to know that we have 3 top 25 universities right here. No other city has that. It's time for them to know more engineers graduate out of our schools than anywhere in the country. It's time for them to know that we have more patents collectively coming out of the Southland than any other region in the United States. And it is time for them to realize that this is a great place to do business again. And when I say this is, I include the San Fernando Valley, which too often in economic development efforts is bypassed, because the port's someplace else, the airport's someplace else. It is time for us to look at the strengths by region. This geography is so fertile, not only to continue to look at aerospace and the expansion of that, but for new tech startups. Digital information, Silicon Beach doesn't just have to be by the beach. I know what it was like to be a boy from Encino who never really was a surfer. I was more of a skateboarder because the ocean seemed so far away. It's time for us to remind people that the beach comes all the way in here, or come up with a new term for LA, because right now this is the best place to do a new tech startup. In fact, if you look at the entrepreneurial rate in the San Fernando Valley, it's the highest in this country. 1 out of 200 residents is an entrepreneur. So when you look at that fertile ground, when you look at these ingredients, we are poised to be a great city again. But I ask this simple thing of you in conclusion. I'm going to need your help. One person by himself cannot do much, any of us, even with a title like Mayor of Los Angeles. Even with 40,000 city employees, we're limited in what we can do. But 4 million, or if you look at the region, really 18, 19 million people marching in the same direction, realizing that whether you're in Riverside or Orange County or Ventura, our brand is Los Angeles, that the world looks to us for that sort of leadership, that if we have that can-do spirit that has defined us, if we make government work for us again, be accessible to us again, be in the palm of our hand or at our front door, then our path is already written. And I invite you to be a part of writing that next chapter with me, of picking up your pencil and writing a line or a paragraph or a page of what I know will be an incredible history. Just look at what we're doing, whether it's the revitalization of the LA River, whether it's new museums and performance spaces that are coming online that reinforce that this is the most creative space on the face of the earth, whether it's the fact that our city is a place where a fourth-generation Angelino like me can walk 15 minutes in a new direction and see something, smell something, taste something you've never seen before, or you can have somebody land from a distant country right now as I'm speaking and go an hour and feel like they're at home. That's a pretty incredible set of ingredients. So let us make sure that the next decade of Los Angeles is one in which we recapture that greatness, in which we go from being a big city to a great city once again, defined not just by those of us at the top that are doing well, but how we integrate those pathways of prosperity to every neighborhood and every part of Los Angeles. And that every young person who has a dream like I did, that one day we could do something for ourselves and our family and for this city, will see those dreams flourish. Thank you so much, and here's to the work ahead. Thank you.